Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Gunman. So I thought I would take you guys through the clear coat stage on the Torana Respray. So most of you have probably seen that little video that I put together, so you probably know that it is painted. So the clear coat that I'm using is quartz liquid glass, and I decided to thin it down to 20% this time. So I've used this clear coat quite a bit over the years, and previously I always used to mix it up at 10% thinners. And I found that it takes a while to cure when you run it at 10%. So overnight it's okay, but what I wanted to do on this car here is put an extra couple of coats on. So the way I actually started off this job here was to put a coat on the roof, bonnet and boot lid, because the plan was to cut them back dead flat with a block, right? So I'm going to get some 1200 grit, block them back. I'm going to give it a month or two, or maybe even 3, just let it cure up properly. 1200 and then 3000 it, and then 5000 even, go all the way down through the grades and then polish it up. So I want that little bit extra material to sort of block into on the tops. Now on the sides I don't want orange peel. Now I don't want orange peel on the tops either, so that takes me to my next point of the air cap and the fluid tip that I'm using. So I'm using the Pro Light with a T110 air cap on it and a 1.2 fluid tip. So the idea of that is to just get thin layers down. I don't want to overload it. I'm not looking for a nice thick coat of clear after 2 coats, like what you generally are when you're doing a refinishing job. So when you're just doing a normal job, you might be doing 1 or 2 panels on a car. You want to get that film build, you want to get in there, bang bang, 2 coats and get out, and you want to get that build up out of 2 coats, and you're looking to get that sort of factory orange peel. Well, here you've got a little bit of a license to sort of push the products a little bit further, so a few of these things are key. Thinning ratio is very important. Now you've got to know your clear. I say 20% because I'm using liquid glass. Depending on the clear coat that you're using, 20% could be way too much, and it may not be enough on the other hand. Like if you're using, say, the clear coat that we've got at work, the LVC 136, and you put 20% in, that's not even going to be enough thinners. So you've just got to know your clear. So don't just say, hey, the Gunman put 20% thinners in his clear, I'm going to do the same. No, you've got to know your clear. You've got to, and a lot of that can just be trial and error. So yes, choosing the right gun, the right air cap, the right fluid tip, and the right thinning ratios. They are the 3 main points that I want to hit on. So pressures are important too, in fact, but I can't even tell you the pressures that I'm using. So you might be sitting there thinking, you're telling me it's so important and you can't even tell me the pressures. Well, look, I've been painting for 23 years. I'll know it when I see it, right? I think I did mention that in a previous video. The spray gun tells you what pressure it wants by looking at the fan, by looking at how it's going on the panel. If the fan starts breaking up and you get that dead zone in the middle of the fan, the air pressure is too high. If it's going on thick and chunky, well then the air pressure is potentially too low. That's one of the things that it may be. Another very, very, very important thing that I cannot understate is get your flash times right. So like I said, I'm doing 4 coats, bonnet, roof and boot lid. You cannot just smash 4 coats on a panel, leaving it 5 minutes in between coats. You're going to get solvent boil, and that was, so the 2 things that I didn't want going into this job was solvent boil and heavy orange peel, because I wanted a layer of paint on my car that's going to be thin, so nice and thick, right? But it doesn't look thick, if that makes sense, because the plan is to cut it back flat so that there is no orange peel in it. So I want to leave it with as little orange peel as possible off the gun. And you're not going to get that by smashing on 2 coats with your TE20 at 10%, if that makes sense. So like I say, put that extra bit of thinners in, take that little bit extra time painting, and you will reap the rewards when it comes time to polishing. So all the little things like the door frames, they're going to stay off the gun. And potentially I could nearly leave most of this car off the gun and I would be happy. Now the roof, bonnet and boot lid do have a few little nibs in it. I think part of what was happening was some sand piling. So I used solvent based base coat, so Standox solvent base coat on this job here. And I would, on that topic, I would just like to say a quick thanks to Spray Guns Direct for sponsoring this build again. They did send out all the primers, the colors and the clear coats and all that. So big thanks to them. But getting back to the video now, like I say, we just want to go thin layers, but observing the flash times. So what I did, I started off, put the first coat of clear on the roof, bonnet and boot lid, right? And then I continued, sprayed down the sides with my first coat of clear. And then I doubled up on the roof, bonnet, boot lid on the first pass, right? So we've got one coat down the sides, 2 coats on the roof, bonnet, boot lid. You're pretty safe to kind of do 2 coats in one, right? It's like I said at the start of the video, that's what we do when we're doing smash repairs. We just go bang, bang, 2 coats, bake it, you're done. So that's what I did. So I did 2 coats roof, bonnet, boot lid, 1 down the side, hit bake. I only hit it for 10 minutes, so it didn't need to be a long bake, because like I said, I put that extra bit of thinners in. The extra thinners actually helps the paint dry. So then I gave it that 10-minute bake. I went out, mixed up a little bit more clear coat. Another thing I would like to note is that I left the can of clear coat in the side of the booth. So when I'm doing my base coat and all of that, I just left the clear coat in the booth just to get a little bit of temperature in it. It's not essential that you do that, but especially in the colder months, it really does help. It'll sort of help you flash off times, and it will also sort of thin it down without putting any thinners in it. So what can happen with some of the cheaper clears, you can actually get a little bit of dye back if you put too much thinners in them. This kind of clear can cop it. Like I say, it's a top quality clear coat, quartz liquid glass. It can handle 20% reducer without dyeing back. So like I say, that may not be the case for all clear coats. Now again, I went into this job knowing that I was going to buff it, right? So I would have potentially, in fact, nearly definitely sprayed it differently if I had have wanted to get an off the gun finish. 20% reducer would probably be too much, right? If I was going for an off the gun finish, I would have left it at around 10 to 15% and probably only put the 2 coats on. So like I say, if it was not something that I was planning on cutting and buffing back, that's how I would have sprayed it. I also would have used a different spray gun, or at least at the very least a different air cap and fluid tip. So I would have gone for the TE20 and it would have gone the 1.3. So I would have got a lot more material on per coat. But yeah, after all these years, I still don't think DeVilbiss can even beat their own spray gun. They're Pro Light. Yeah, let us know. Do you reckon the DV1 clear is better than the Pro Light for clear? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just biased. I've done most of my best work has been done with the Pro Light. But yeah, this turned out exactly how I wanted it. Everything that I went in there focusing on went to plan. Now, in saying that, this took me 70 hours. That was one hell of a day's work just to mask and paint it. So it took about 3 hours just to mask it up. Yeah, definitely took a lot longer than what I'm used to because, yeah, I don't know, because everything's on the car. So it did take, and I'm pretty experienced in masking. So if you're not experienced in masking, it's probably going to take you a lot longer than that. But yeah, everything that I went in there wanting worked. So I didn't get a heavy orange peel. I got a nice film build. Like I say, 3 coats down the side and 4 over the tops. And I didn't get any solvent ball. That was one of the keys. Because once you get solvent ball, it's there for life. So what happens is it can skin over on the top and the gases haven't actually released yet. So what can happen is you get these little air bubbles in there. You can buff and buff and buff. You can sort of hide them, but they'll never really go away. So I think I've done a good job this video of sort of keeping on topic. I think in some of my more recent videos, I've sort of drifted off topic, but I went into this video and just thought, just give the tech info. Stop just talking shit. So I think I did a good job. I'm going to sort of make a bit of a focus about that, like in my videos from now on, just like blast as much tech info at you guys as I can and kind of get back to my roots. That's what I was like. If you go back to my old videos, like when my channel was really popular, that's what I was like. Anyway, I'm going to finish this video off with just a bit of a, you know, the vibe of what it was like straight after I finished painting. So that's it. That's where we're up to. It looks incredible. Like, I just can't believe how damn good it looks. Wow. And those wheels, they're killer. I love the color. I love everything about it. And it is straight. Like, it is really pin straight. I'm going to have to find, I don't know why, this bonnet is sitting up there. It's probably like the hinge over up on the other side, like that, I don't know. Because I did have to take the hinges out because I needed to clean them up and paint them. There's so much movement in those hinges, so I'm gonna have to have a play around with that. But that's not a big deal. Have a look at how straight it is. There's some funny, I'm getting some funny effects, a bit of flickering going on in the camera there, so sorry about that, but it looks really, really good. Have a look at that. Like this car, don't forget guys, it was absolutely hammered. It was borderline not worth fixing. But you know, I did fix it. That door was, it was worth replacing, but I didn't replace it. Yeah, so I use the Pro Lights T110 1.2 for clear coat. That's why it's looking so glassy and flat off the gun. I am going to cut it back flat. So down the sides I put 3 coats of clear. On the boot lid, roof and bonnet I put an extra, so I've got 4 coats. So with the roof, bonnet and boot lid, I'm thinking I'll block that back with like 1200 or something like that. And then sort of orbital sand it and buff it up from there. But yeah, so quartz liquid glass is the clear coat I use. All sponsored by Spray Guns Direct, so I would like to say a big thanks to them for sponsoring the build. It definitely helped me keep the prices down. I've been keeping track of it, and it's up to around $25,000 already, and that's including them providing all the stuff. So it'd be definitely up over 30 grand. But yeah, Standox Solvent is the base coat, so it's a 3-stage pearl. You can't really, you may not be able to see it in the camera, but it's a very subtle pearl, but it does make it flip, right? So you can't actually always see the pearl, but it does more than what you sort of might think, if that makes sense. It nearly looks better in low light. So if you, yeah, I noticed it one time when the sun was going down on the door jambs, and the color just looked incredible. But yeah, fair to say I'm stoked, but I'm knackered. It's been a big day. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested.